Okay, so it looks like we're being live streamed. Yeah,
Yes,
we're good.
I see the memo almost, or the red dot almost going done. We're good.
Okay. Okay, the meeting of the Kailua Village Design Commission will come to order. The time is 1:03 p.m. Welcome, everyone. My name is Sean Roth. I'm the chairperson of the Kailua Village Design Commission. I'll introduce the commissioners that we have with us today. Commissioner Coleman Papua, Commissioner Elena Kilikuski, Rebecca Lucia, and Kalani Greenwell. Thank you all for being here. The commissioner's role is to provide an architectural and design review of proposed projects, including landscaping and signage within the Kailua Village Special District. The commission is an advisory body. For sign permits, the commission's recommendations are forwarded to the Public Works Director for action. For architectural design review, the commissioner's recommendations are forwarded to the Planning Director for action. The procedure to this meeting, Robert's Rules of Order will be used to conduct the meeting. Each commissioner wishing to speak should be recognized by the chairperson before speaking. Applicants and members of the public should be recognized by the chairperson when testifying or asking questions. Public testimony will be taken. Each application will be heard in the order listed on the agenda. Staff will introduce each project. Applicants will be asked to make a presentation or statement, which will be followed by questions from the commissioners. The commission, after discussion, will vote to make a recommendation for approval, denial, or deferral. Before we go further, just remind commissioners that we need to all keep our videos on in order to maintain quorum. And also ask if anyone has anyone else present at the location that we can't see. I have Kari Kimura is in the room next door. Commissioners, does anyone else have someone there at their location?
I do. My drafter is here, Winter Anderson, listening intently.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like we have Commissioner Young has joined the meeting. Welcome. Commissioner Young, do you have anyone else there at your location with you? Maybe her audio is not on yet. I'm going to take that as a no. Okay. The first item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. And we're asking to delay the approval of minutes until another meeting because they have not been prepared and distributed yet. So we'll defer that action until the next meeting. Are there any statements from the public on agenda items? No? Okay, staff is saying no. So for the record, no statements from the public. Okay, the first item of new business is application PL KBD 2023-000034. The applicant, William McCowett, is requesting design review for alterations to the second floor for 3 apartments and the addition of a third floor to include 3 apartments for 6 apartments in total in the building above the existing Fish Hopper restaurant located at 75-5683 Ali Drive, Kailua Kona, across from the seawall. The exterior colors include brown and bronze finishes with a corrugated metal roof with bronze aluminum windows and doors to match the first floor restaurant. The applicant is William McCowett, landowners Fish Hopper LLC, TMK 75006-014, located at 75-5683 Ali Drive in Kailua Kona. Will staff please give us an introduction to this application?
Thank you, Chair. This is Deanne Bugado, and I will be sharing my screen. Okay, and again, this is agenda item 1, and this is alterations to the second and adding a third floor to the Fish Hopper restaurant. Their zoning is Resort 0.75. all of the associated information for the KVD application. The location is off of Ali'i Drive. Just a Google Earth image of the location on Ali'i Drive. And from their application and just associated Google Earth, again, Google Earth image off of Ali'i Drive as to the location. This is the existing main level, which is their restaurant itself. One more thing on the site plan itself, the parking and whatnot will be reviewed and under the plan approval. So we don't actually have to look at parking itself during the review. It's simply the design elements of the building itself and the new elements of the building, because there are no proposed changes for any of the landscape or the wall area. And the parking itself will be reviewed during the plan approval should this continue forward. So again, this is the main level, the restaurant, which remains unchanged, at least in terms of this application. Their existing second floor level is this area here, which is an apartment as well as storage area, which they've identified. And then their proposed second level apartments is a 3 units here with their walkways and coming upstairs, and then their walkways to the individual units. And then they also have an additional 3rd floor that they're adding in with 3 additional units. This is the elevation look at the west elevation, east elevation, Mauka or the rear area, and the Makai front elevation. This is a street view of the Fish Hopper restaurant as is right now. And this is the proposed street view of what it will be with the 3rd floor adding in. As you notice, that it is a staggered inclusion of that 3rd floor level, which is what both the Kona CDP and the master plan actually looks for. And just a color rendering of what the color scheme will be looking like. That ends my presentation. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you, Deanne.
Mhm.
So commissioners, does anyone have any questions for staff?
Yeah, are these long-term or short-term rentals?
Okay, yeah, Commissioner Lucia, go ahead.
There is no information from the applicant as to how they're going to deal with the rental properties.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff? And we've had an echo going.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Okay. Does the applicant think that they would like to present?
I do not see the applicant.
Okay. We'll begin discussion application. And I'm not sure where is everyone? Yeah.
Okay, just in case, I'm going to mute anybody who's not speaking. Just in case that's where the
Okay.
echo is coming from.
Yeah. Okay. Is that better? Oh, that's better. Okay. So,
Yes.
okay. So it wasn't me. Okay. Yeah. So beginning discussion on this, I think I'm not sure if there's any of the other commissioners who were here when the various fish hopper things came through last time. Through KVDC. It was a few years ago. And yeah, I don't think there's anyone who's on the commission now besides me who was here at that time. But at the, again, this was quite a few years ago. They were going to add a third floor and renovate the second floor. And at that time, they were looking at basically expanding their seating capacity, and they're going to have like seating all the way up into these other floors, which seemed a little difficult to make work. And so when I saw this one come through, my initial reaction was, oh, okay, this makes a little bit of sense now as far as how to use this building versus what they were proposing before. And I think I don't know any details really about the history of the building. I sort of wish the applicant could have filled us in a little bit there, but I think that from the looks of that existing floor plan, that and they said apartments and storage. I think that historically some of those areas were used as some kind of residence in the upper areas. And I think adding more residents to the central village area is a really great thing to be able to do, to have sort of expand the times that there's people down there and have that kind of mixed use in that area is a really positive thing. I know there's a lot of issues these days about, oh, is it short-term rental or long-term rental, but we can't really police that. But I think that having residences there available to whatever kind is going to be a benefit. And I also appreciate the way that they're presenting the design where it steps back. It seems like it fits well with the village. The one thing in the application, their rendered views where it's green on the top and brown on the bottom, I actually prefer that to the all brown. And so I would be in favor of sort of making a comment in our, in whatever we say, that a two-color scheme with a lighter color on top seems like it would make the building feel a little bit less massive and fit with the sort of eclectic nature of that area. But overall, I'm really in favor of it. Would anyone else like to add to discussion?
I just have a question. So they're removing some of the apartment units and then adding more. Is that they're keeping the same number of, like, they're keeping the same unit count, I guess? Is that what's going on?
I believe they're adding, because what's in the fish hopper right now has, I believe, well, I'm not sure exactly how many specific units there are laid out individually, but they do have a residential layer on that second level. So they're individually spacing them out so that they're 3 distinct units on the second level, and then they're adding 3 more units on that second level, on the third level, sorry.
Gotcha.
So they're adding a third level and adding 3 additional units.
Okay. So the parking still works, you say?
Well, the original plan approval seemed to indicate some specific usage of restaurant use on that second floor. So there was actually additional parking required. So with this, the parking on a multifamily kind of a unit such as this is a much lesser amount than the commercial restaurant.
Mhm.
So it may be the existing parking may be all right. It's going to be determined under a plan approval review. But in general sense, it may be okay. It's a matter of what is actually in there.
Yeah. All right. Sorry for bringing it up. I know you
No,
said
no.
It's not our Kuleana, but I just was curious.
Yep. Not a problem at all.
I should also say I'm working with Bill McCowlett on other projects, not this one, but I do just have to put that out there. I have no personal knowledge of this project at all, but we work together on stuff. So got to make that known.
I need to say the same as well. I have a working relationship, but we're not working on this project. And I had no prior knowledge of this project either.
Yeah, so Commissioner Greenwell, I think also that maybe from just the quick look that I had at that existing second floor plan, I think it may have originally been sort of more like single room occupancy kind of not real apartments, but like some kind of old kind of like more rooming house type of thing.
Yeah, I know the family that used to own Ocean View Inn, like a lot of them lived upstairs. When I
Yeah.
was a kid, that was like all apartments for the whole family lived up there. So
Yeah, and so
I think our
so-
definition of an apartment has changed in modern times since the
Yeah.
1920s when that place was built. But
yeah, well, and since it was like housing people for the restaurant, right, there may have been no kitchen even up there.
yeah,
So
right on.
There
I-
may have
I
been a
would say
kitchen in
I'm-
this area, but
But sorry, I was just gonna say I think I'm broadly in support of it. It's just I don't know, parking's always an issue in town, so yeah. But again, I know that's not really our. So others will look at that, so I won't say anything more about it.
again, from the initial just review of the documents and the file, it does seem as though there was a higher call for parking in previous for that two-story building. But parking and the parking allotment or calculation has changed. And especially when you have individual units like this, it's a different calculation than full-on restaurant, even warehouse use. So it'll make a difference when we do the parking calculation.
Yep, makes sense. Thanks, Tian.
does anyone else have anything? Commissioner Kailua, are you unmuted? Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I just see this as a plus. Of course, my initial reaction was what's already been brought up because I frequent that restaurant and parking is tough as it is right now. But like we all said, it's for another area, another department to take care of. But yeah, I see it as a plus for Kona. I like the idea. I like the way it looks too. It does, preserve some of the ideals of what Ocean View Inn used to be. Not just an eatery, but like was mentioned by Commissioner Polani. But yeah, the family lived there. It was a live-in space for them to continue working, and finally it just got too difficult for the family to take care of. So they just decided to, sell it and move on. So, but it does preserve a little bit of that history of what the place was. The menu doesn't, but the space does.
Thanks. Any other comment?
Yes, I have a comment. Is with the third
Commissioner
floor,
Young,
is
go ahead.
add on the second floor, it will be exceed the high limit in Kailua Village. It's 45 feet. It's Kailua Village. Is zoning is 45 feet above the ground. If we have a third
The
floor,
height limit in the resort area. Hold on one moment. Height limit is 45 feet. And because they are on a slope, it will depend on when the plan approval is reviewed. There are times that you take it from the top of the slope, and there's other times, depending on how the construction is done, that you take it from the bottom of the slope, go up to a datum calculation, and then that 45 feet is taken from that point upwards. So 3 floors can definitely be done in that area. It just depends on how that comes in under the plan approval.
And so Commissioner Young, too, I think that because they're proposing a gabled roof, right? So the roof has that, a slope shape like that, not a flat roof. I think that, and they're not requesting a height variance. Though both of those things really keep it within what we want to see in the village, right? If they'd gone up to the 45 feet with a flat roof, that would be a different story. But they're putting sort of a a softer look of a gable roof on there. Commissioner Kailua, go ahead.
Yeah, according to rendering A4 that was submitted, they measured from the floor base to the top of the roof, and it's 3710.
Yeah, so well within, yeah. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, Commissioner Lucia, I think you're muted.
I'm in favor. I'm of mostly any of these older broken down buildings in town being refreshed and updated, obviously, as long as they're up to code and everything. So to me, this looks great.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion about it?
Sure, I motion we accept.
Okay. Would you be willing to add that we'd like to see a two-color scheme with a lighter color on top?
Sure, we
It's
would
not a
love to
requirement.
see. Well, I agree with you. I like the two-tone colors as well. So we would love to see the two-tone colors of the building in the rendition.
So
Is there?
just to say, we
Yep.
have a motion to accept as presented with the condition that a two-color scheme be used. Is that
Not a
acceptable?
condition,
Or
but
a suggestion?
suggestion, yeah.
Is that acceptable, Commissioner Lucia?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second. Yep.
Oh, that was sort of a tie. Okay, we'll let the tie go to Commissioner Kailua, since he's newer.
Oh, I was gonna say we could junk and pull for it, but that's all right.
Okay, next one, yeah. Okay, so is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone unmute or raise their hand. Let's go ahead and vote on this motion then.
Thank you. Commissioner Lucia?
I favor. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Kaupua?
Yes.
Commissioner Greenwell?
Aye.
Commissioner Young?
I'm going to abstain because I'm not quite get a visual of what the building look like.
Okay, and Commissioner Roth?
Aye.
Motion passes. Oh,
Okay,
wait, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm so sorry, Commissioner Kilkowski. At least
That's okay.
before I finished,
So what?
Commissioner
In favor.
Kilkowski. Thank you. I was like, why isn't this
Aye.
numbering out? Motion passes. Thank you.
okay, motion is adopted. Great, thank you, everyone. So we'll move on to our second item of new business. The application is PL KVD 2023-000035, Gregory A. Quinn, architect, and Shifeng Zhang, doing business as Rock and Crab, are requesting design review for two new illuminated wall signs for a new restaurant located at TMK 7500410 off Palani Road at the Laniha Shopping Center. The new wall signs will read Rock and Crab. Letters will be 3/16" thick aluminum. Returns with acrylic faces and black returns with the colors of the individual letters being red and black on the tan building background. The maximum letter height is 16 inches with logo height of 30 inches and an area of each sign is approximately 32 square feet. The elevation of each new wall sign is approximately 9 feet 2 inches. And the applicant, sorry, it was on the next page. Gregory A. Quinn and Shifeng Zhang, landowners Alexander and Baldwin Inc. And McBird Sugar Company LLC. Lisi is Rock and Crab Cajun Restaurant. TMK is 7500410, located at 75-5595 Palani Road. Will staff please give us an introduction to this application?
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me share my screen. And this is again, agenda item 2 for two wall signs for Rocking Crab. The zoning on this parcel is generally commercial, 2020, so 20 acres minimum lot size. This is along Polani Road at the Lani Hall Partners Phase 1, actually, which is this 9.471 acre parcel. This is the general location of the parcel. This is the Google Earth view of it. And again, the Rocking Crab restaurant is to be located here, which is the former IHOP restaurant. On their site plan or on the rendering, it is located here. The sign locations are along this area. This is where Polani is here. And this is the Longs is over here. So there is going to be a sign here along that inner walkway as you go up to the footwear, famous footwear. And then facing Longs is going to be the other sign. This is the rendering of the sign itself. 30 inches for the logo area, 16 inches for the Rocking Crab. Total square feet is 18 square feet. And the potential, what it will look like on the building itself. In that walk-in area that is facing the second save area is here, and this is facing Longs. Just to give you an idea, there is an existing sign variance that was issued by the Planning Commission way back in 1987 that is still active in the Lani Hao Shopping Center. It called for certain issues in the area that actually is not to exceed 40% of the store frontage or 22 square feet, whichever is less. The county code is 12 square feet. They are proposing 18 square feet. One sign on each storefront and one sign on the mall soffit. One per road is in the sign code, and the application is asking for or proposing 2 signs. The sign variance not to exceed 12 inches, and they are doing 16 inches, and the logo itself is 20 inches. The sign variance called for 12-inch height on the lettering and logo, with the total height of 20 inches if you had 2 lines. Sign code itself is not to exceed 9 inches. The height itself, the project may max out of 6 inches beyond the storefront line at a minimum starting of the sign at 8 feet above the sidewalk. The sign code itself is top of sign not to exceed 9 feet. And they have an application, under the application, the bottom of the sign start at 9 feet 2 inches. Are there any questions? Sean, you are muted.
So that's the whole presentation.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I thought you were going to show us the picture with the lights and all that on the sign, but no. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
No, that was in there.
Okay. 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 Great. So
I have a question. Excuse me, I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Young, go ahead. You have a question for Deanne. You're muted. Commissioner Young, you're muted.
Could you hear me now?
Yes.
It is very difficult to me to vision that all the explanation by the staff because my computer is totally blank. I don't see no pictures whatsoever. So what I heard from Diane and the staff, Seems like everything is they exceed the requirement by the sign code. Is it? I don't know. To me, the size of the sign and exceed what's our requirement.
Correct. The proposed signs, both wall signs do exceed both the sign code as well as the sign variance that was issued for Lani House Shopping Center as a whole in 1987. So that is what the presentation basically that is the last bit that I was kind of going over kind of quickly. So sorry. But the application itself, almost each element of the sign application does exceed both the sign code itself as well as the existing variance that is recognized for the Lani House Shopping Center.
My second question is the variances are being approved by the department.
The variance was issued by the Planning Commission in 1987. At that time, sign variances in the Kailua Village Design District were issued by the Planning Commission. And those that were issued are still being honored and recognized, with the exception of as each proposed sign may deviate from that and the applicant comes in for a new sign variance, that does need to be recognized, and it is now up to, since the sign code and the sign variances are issued by the Department of Public Works Building Division, any additional sign variances will be considered by the Department of Public Works Building Division or the Department of Public Works Director.
Thank you. Diana, I have one question. Do you know if the IHOP, I believe, was the previous tenant there, and were the IHOP signs, did they go through the Kailua Village Design Commission?
So that building has the Famous Footwear and the IHOP building. The Famous Footwear did go through design review, and the Kailua Village Design District back in 2014 did recommend compliance to the sign variance for their sign letters and logo, and basically they asked for them to be compliant with the sign variance. Unfortunately, information that I looked for did not have that same kind of a review for the IHOP restaurant. And it appears as though a call was made, and it could have been just how staff at that time was looking at the IHOP rendering when the sign permit came through, that because it was completely facing the longs area or the inner area for the IHOP, that KVDC review was not needed. So there's a notation in there for the IHOP restaurant or the IHOP sign permit.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, because I remember the Famous Footwear going through, but I don't remember the IHOP ever coming through, and so that sort of confirms that I didn't just forget.
No.
Okay.
And it looks like the call was made for the IHOP maybe about a year after the Famous Footwear.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Does anyone else have any further questions for staff? Okay. I'm not seeing anyone unmute or anything. Does the applicant have anything that they would like to present?
No, nothing other than the plans we turned in.
Okay, that was Gregory Quinn, I believe, saying that. Okay. Okay, so we'll then, thank you. We'll move on to the discussion of this application. So I say I remember. Oh, Commissioner Young, go ahead.
I have a question, and is the sign will be compatible with what we had there?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand all of that. Commissioner Young, you're muted now. Can you unmute, please?
Okay, it's okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, the sign from the applicant was compatible with and full well everything in the center?
I think that's what staff has said, and what I'm seeing in the application is that the sign that's proposed is larger than what the shopping center and what the variance that the shopping center had received in 1987 or it exceeds the both the variance and the shopping center rules. And just look, when I looked at the street view that showed the IHOP, to jog my memory on that one, it looked like their logo sign was considerably larger than what would have been allowed through either of those rules. And so, yeah, and I think the shopping center isn't specific about facing the street like the county is. So they were probably not in compliance with the shopping center rules either. I know that Famous Footwear there was a lot of discussion on that when that sign went through. And, one, because the sign was going to be illuminated. And that one is a little different because it faces the street, Polani Road as well. But at that time, the commission really was adamant that the sign did not exceed that previous variance size. And it looks like they kept it there. But then it was sort of after that approval went through, then they put all the logos up in the windows and lit those from inside. And that made a number of members of the commission very upset. And there was sort of nothing we could do about it. But it was very much against the intent of what like the no billboards in Hawaii thing, right? So that building has a little bit of history. But this is a new tenant, right? And so I think my main thing is that I think we should make sure that we're treating all the various tenants there equally and the same. And so for me, the look of the sign and the fact, having some illumination in it, similar to other signs in there, it's back in under the eave where it's a little bit hard to see. That all is good with me. But I can't really go with the increased size. If it was like same sign, but it met the previous variance requirements, then it would be, for me, that would be an easy yes. But with the excessive size, can't do it. The position too is fine because they really don't have any choice but to go above the window line, and it is tucked in under the eave, and it's also consistent with what Famous Footwear does. So that's all fine. Like I say, for me, it's really just the size. Commissioners, would anyone else like to add some discussion items?
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts.
Hey, Commissioner Kilkowski, go ahead.
So I pulled up like Google Map Street View just to kind of get a sense of what Famous Footwear has done. And it's hard to tell. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to make a determination that what Rock and Crab is proposing is the same as what Famous Footwear is, because it's hard to tell how tall those letters are. But it seems relatively consistent with what Famous Footwear already has. And then the other thing to note that was already mentioned is that, both of these facades are not facing the street. So I don't know if that's worth considering, letting them go a little bit bigger, than the variance allows, because the street view is showing the old IHOP sign and it's huge. It's looks a lot bigger than 16-inch lettering, which is right. It was right above the double doors originally. So I don't know that we want to compare with what was previous, but I think it's fair to compare with what's there now with their neighbor. So I don't know if it's possible to determine what their sign height is, just to get a sense of how much Rock and Crab deviates from that.
My guess is that finished footwear is 12 inches because they asked for bigger and they were told 12 inches. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess that they maxed it out.
Yeah.
But the argument that it's not facing the street has some validity, right?
Mhm.
What the sign code does say in the Kailua Village Design District is all signs need to comply with the sign code for Kailua Village. So unlike the rest of the sign code for the rest of the island, that does say if it doesn't front a street or it's not visible from the street, then you don't need to have a sign permit. In the Kailua Village Design District itself, there is that special requirement that all signs, no matter where it is, need to have a sign permit and need to comply with the sign code itself for
Okay.
Kailua Village.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
Thank you.
and the sign that's going to face south, right? I guess, oh no, the street that goes past the club and where the Hilo Hatties used to be, that street ends before it actually faces that. So technically it doesn't face the street. Yeah, I guess.
I wanted to ask about
Commissioner Greenwell, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. The total height, there was a line in there, total height allowed in the variance is 20 inches if there were 2 lines of text. I guess their logo is 30 inches, but the text itself was 16. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
So could we request that the logo be brought down to 20 inches, but the text be left the same size? Or that the logo be brought down to 20 inches, yeah, and then the text be left alone so that the entire sign is no higher than 20 inches. Just throwing that out there as like a potential motion or whatever.
You can make that recommendation. The final determination is not going to be with this body. We can make a recommendation to the Director of Public Works to see if he's okay with that. And it may be the call of the Department of Public Works that would be a variance application that they would still need to apply for.
Okay.
Because it is not compliant per se with the existing sign variance that was approved of for the Lani Hall Shopping Center. There's deviations for that.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the comment from Public Works that was up in the folder for this project, the comment from Public Works was it's too big. It exceeds the height, right? So, yeah.
And they specifically called out that the sign code itself is 9 inches, and this is too big for that. They didn't actually recognize the existing Lani House Shopping Center variance in their comment.
Yeah. He didn't have as much time to dig it up as Deanne had.
Deanne, can you go back to that table that shows the variance? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Elaine.
And
Yeah.
my apologies. This is just my quick and dirty. Can you see? And did you have
Is
any
it
specific
possible-
questions?
No, I just kind of wanted to see it as a reference to what
Okay.
we're talking about.
Mr. Quinn, would you like to?
Yes. Would you send that? Is it possible to get that sent to me somehow so I can explain it?
The variance itself has been uploaded onto the the application, the KVD application attachments or available information. So not specifically my cut and dry information, but the actual variance itself and the write-up for the Lani House Shopping Center sign requirements
Perfect.
is uploaded.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
So here's one suggestion, is that so that the applicant doesn't have to come to Kailua Village Design Commission again. If we could say that that we recommend, that we approve the the colors and look of the sign, provided that it meets the existing variance. And so that way, if they want to just resize it or make an adjustment so that it fits in the existing variance, then they wouldn't have to come back to us again.
Yeah, more specifically, like you said, I mean, we leave it up to them to do. Sorry, you didn't recognize me.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Kailua.
Not that I need to be recognized. I don't have an issue with that. But anyway, I like what Palani recommended. And again, we cannot tell them what to do, but if they did that, then basically they could put it 9 feet above, from the floor. All of that would be in compliance if they restructured that just a little. Doesn't have to be a lot, but just a little. Then they could take back the 2 inches and they'd be at 9 feet.
Yeah. Well, and the variance allows the height. So that's not really a problem. It's, yeah. So maybe the simple way might be just, that we say we approve the concept of the sign provided that it's sized to fit within the existing variance. Right. Would anyone care to make a motion like that?
So moved.
So if I may, motion to approve concept of size and recommend approval if size of signs is adjusted to comply with the sign variance.
Yeah. That sounds reasonable. Would anyone like to second that?
I second that.
Okay, second by Commissioner Lucia. Is there any discussion on this motion? Okay, not seeing anyone. Oh, Commissioner Young, you have? No? Okay. Let's go ahead and vote then.
Okay. Commissioner Greenwell,
Aye.
Commissioner Lucia,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaupua,
Aye.
Commissioner Kilkuski,
Aye.
Commissioner Young.
Thing.
Excuse me?
I'm going to abstain. I believe we should support the code.
Okay. And Chair Roth,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay. Motion is passed. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is administrative matters. Are there any administrative matters that we need to
No, sir.
discuss? Okay. I guess maybe I'll just say one slight administrative matter thing. The procedure for the meeting where be recognized by the chairperson and all that. And with the video, it's a little hard because to see who's raising their hand, and it's a little different than when we're sitting around a table, right? So I think that generally it's okay if we're a little more casual about it, but we need to keep that in there because the meetings are not always as harmonious as we've been recently, right? So, I mean, hopefully they stay this way, but we've got to have the procedures just in case, right? So are there any announcements? Oh, you're muted, Deanne.
My apologies.
Yeah.
There have been no applications for our June 6th meeting. So our next tentative meeting will be on the 27th or 20th, sorry.
20th. Okay. So on the 20th, Commissioner Kilkowski, if we have a meeting, you'll have to cover for me. I'm going to be off island on that date.
Okay. Thanks for
right.
the heads up.
Well, again, thank you all for being here and letting us get through all of these applications. Thanks for the time, and we'll say that the meeting is adjourned at 1:54 p.m. Good job, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.